Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay and I work for Skills Development Scotland as part of the My World of Work Live team. My World of Work Live is about helping you young people understand what Job Scotland is going to need in the future and helping you get the skills that you'll need for them. So in today's session, we are going to have a quick overview of the IT and digital technology sector. We'll have a look at what opportunities there are in the sector, and then we'll introduce you to our expert Connor, and you'll have a chance to ask questions for Connor. I'd like to encourage you to get as involved as much as possible today, so please use the Q&A at the bottom of the screen and ask us questions as we go through. We'll try and answer as many of these as we possibly can. Just to let you know that today's session is being recorded. That's so that anyone who couldn't make it today has a chance to go back and watch it. It also means that you can go back and re-watch anything if you want to see it again. Don't worry though, anything you ask can be anonymous and you can select that option in the Q&A box. So before we have a chat with Connor, let me introduce you to the IT and digital technology sector. So in Scotland, there's currently over 800,000 people working within the sector. For the year 2020, the average salary was over £31,000 and it adds over £5 million to the Scottish economy. In the future, it's estimated that over the next 2 years, they're going to need almost 3,000 jobs to replace or create new ones. Requirement for growth is expected to grow to over 4,000 between 2023 and 2030. It is estimated that the value added by the digital sector to the Scottish economy will also grow by 27%. Skills needed in this sector are teamwork, customer service and project management. Also worth noting, this is actually Biology Week. So our expert Connor today, he works in the genetics department of the University of Edinburgh. So life science, they also add over £4 million to the Scottish economy. And this includes added value from the chemical sciences industry. And again, this is another sector which has seen growth and job increase in 2020, and this is expected to continue in 2021. So now let's introduce you to our expert Connor. So Connor is a design, publication and media assistant within the Institute of Genetics and Cancer at the University of Edinburgh. He completed his NHND at college before starting a modern apprenticeship there. He works alongside researchers and scientists, and he works on various projects within the university and other organisations. So now what we will do is we will pass you to Connor to tell you a bit more about his role. Hi Connor.
Hi guys. So I started my modern apprenticeship in 2017, which was a really good stepping stone in the industry because it's quite hard to get in, and because I had done a few years at college, and before that I never really knew what I wanted to do. So when I was at school, I knew I liked the creative subjects, but I never could see myself getting into that. So I was told by an art teacher that maybe graphic design was a good route because I quite enjoyed doing that module in art. And so luckily I got into the college and I had 3 years there and it was great and it got me ready for the industry. And then when I left, the modern apprenticeship was a great opportunity. Yeah, so started that and I'm still here today.
That's brilliant. So that's really good to know, and I suppose you don't really know when you're younger, but it's good that you've kind of honed in on this interest in graphic design and you've found yourself in a role that you seem to be really enjoying. So we can just start off with some questions if that's okay. So The first question someone's asking is, what tasks do you have to do day to day?
So day to day it can vary, to be honest. So I can sometimes be creating a logo for one of the research teams. I run a printing service, so a lot of people go to events and they need posters to show their research, printing banners, also editing websites, creating content, and if there's events, I create a lot of digital content for social media, which is quite good, and even photography as well, so taking people's pictures or taking photography at events, so it's really varied, which is good.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It sounds really interesting. So again, another question someone's asking is, what subjects would you recommend I do at school?
So at school, I done art and design because there's a module you can do for graphic design, which is good. I've done product design, media studies, Graphcom. So all of them, they prepared me and got me introduced to the kind of skills I'd need for this role I'm in.
Brilliant, that's really good. And this follows on quite nicely to the next question, is what kind of training opportunities are there within the University of Edinburgh?
So there's lots to be honest. So there's internal ones, and you can just have a search in the database and you can sign yourself up to loads of different courses, which is like personal development, or there's like training for different softwares that I use, so like Adobe software, Microsoft software. Yeah, there's lots and lots. Or if there's one that you want to do like externally, you can always ask, and sometimes there's extra funding there to give you opportunities to do different courses. Like I've done a course at Edinburgh College doing photography. I've done a night class. That was really good. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities.
That sounds really good. And so someone's asking a question about skills. They're asking what skills are most important to do your job?
So I would say problem solving skills, because whatever job you get given, whether it's a logo or designing a poster or something, you've always got to think, right, what information do I need? What is the best way to display this? If there's an easier route, if there's something you might think, you might challenge the person and say, I think this might work better. So there's always different ways to think about a project, and also communication skills, and also a close eye for detail as well. Like even like spelling checks before things get mass produced and stuff, because you don't want the wrong word getting put out. So yeah, I would say those three are probably the best.
Yeah, that's really good. And I suppose they're really good transferable skills that you'd hopefully be using throughout school and through maybe jobs that you did before. And so someone's asked, what cool projects do you get to work on?
So I get to work on a lot of like research-based stuff. So one of the best ones I enjoyed was a research team was working on how smoking affects your DNA, and like when you stop, how quickly your body can repair itself. So I done an image where it was a picture of someone smoking, and I edited it to show the smoke forming in like a DNA structure.
Oh,
Yeah, so they used that to like show like the kind of work that we're doing. So that was quite good. So yeah, that was interesting.
yeah, that's really very cool. So what are the most enjoyable parts of your job, would you say?
So the enjoyable parts, I would say, getting to work on a diverse list of projects, and also in the university there's so many people, so you get to work with loads of different people every day, people like you work in the building with that you've never met before because it's that big, and you get to work with so many different people, yeah, and loads of opportunities.
Brilliant. And off the back of that, someone's asked, what are the most challenging parts of your job?
So the challenging stuff, I would say, is probably keeping up to date with like new software and new trends, and keeping your designs fresh, because you don't want to be putting out the same design but slightly changed all the time. You want to keep people interested. So yeah, I'd probably say a lot of training to move. Like I've been recently moving on to motion graphics, which is one of the new new trends, and it's quite hard to learn them. But once you do, it's worth your while because it's like a new skill you've gained.
Brilliant. That's really good though. I suppose it's like it might be challenging to begin with, but then you're always adding to your kind of bank of skills, which is going to be helpful. And so this falls on really nicely to the next question actually. So someone says, what types of editing packages do you think are best for websites or logo designing?
So I have the Adobe Cloud Suite. So that gives you a good mix of all the different software you need. So Photoshop, you've got Illustrator, InDesign, you've even got some like Adobe Premiere for video, and also After Effects, that's for like motion graphics and animation. Yeah, there's lots of different packages, to be honest. So if you go on Adobe, you can find what package suits you best if it's more photography based or something. So they'll be able to guide you in the right direction.
That's really good to know. That's really helpful, hopefully, for people that are maybe interested in going down a route like yours. And so, again, someone's asked, do you need to go to university or college to do your job?
For this job, I could have came straight to school if I knew that this option was available to me. But at the time, I don't think it was, because when I first started, I think it was the first year the university had done the modern apprenticeship. So I learned, it was a 1.5-year position, so I learned on the job, but it was obviously good that I'd been to college before, so I was a bit more advanced and I knew it was easier for me to pick stuff up. But I could have easily worked as hard and just came straight to school, so you don't actually need to have any like higher education.
Yeah, that's really good to know. So I think you've kind of already answered this a bit, but someone's asked, who influenced you the most to start a career in this industry?
So at school, I never really had much clue what I wanted to do, to be honest. I thought I really wanted to do something creative, but I just couldn't see the path for it. And then one of my art teachers said, well, why don't you do graphic design? And I thought, well, how would I do that? And then she said, well, look at different courses, different universities, different colleges. And luckily there was one at Edinburgh College that seemed really interesting. So I applied for it, and then it was the best thing I ever did, because like it was amazing and taught me so many different skills and put me on placements and like advertising agencies and stuff. So it was really good. So yeah, probably my art teacher that told me to go into that route.
Yeah, that's really good. And I suppose it goes to show like the influence a teacher can have on you, and they've obviously noticed you've got really good skills in this area. So this is the one I think almost every expert has been asked this question. I think every job has a different story. So has COVID-19 impacted your job?
Yeah, it has and it hasn't, because I work with my manager mostly, so it's just me and him that share an office. So I didn't really work with a big team. I'd meet there's other people I work with, but we'd meet up every once in a while. So when COVID hit, obviously didn't have the big computer anymore, so I got a laptop. So working from home, it was quite strange at first. So working on the smaller screen, but then I think the biggest thing was because I always had my manager there to rely on him if I was stuck with anything or there was anything that came up, I could quickly just ask him. So working from home, I had to use my own initiative more and just trust my own instincts and just go with something that I thought was right. And so that was quite good. So it's gave me more confidence. And also the printing service stopped because obviously I couldn't come into the office as much. But yeah, I usually work independently anyway, so it's still been the same, but just not as much contact with obviously the people I work with.
Yeah. And how do you find that? Do you find you're more productive when you're working from home, or do you prefer being in the office?
Well, now we've started coming into the office twice a week, so I do quite like the days when I come in because it gives me a break for being at home. But also working from home, you've got a better work-life balance because you're not having to travel, and because it's something to take me an hour into work, so an hour there and back. So you save those 2 hours, and I think when you do come into the office on the 2 days, you enjoy coming in. So it is good in that sense.
Yeah. Kind of got the best of both worlds now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so someone's asking what the pay is like, kind of entry level and upwards. So don't feel you do not need to give us your salary, but the average salary for someone maybe working as a graphic designer in Scotland, well in the UK, sorry, is just over £31,000. But it's generally, I would say, quite a well-paid industry, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. So at the modern apprenticeship level, I think they're all the same. So it's about 15,000, nearly 16. So obviously it is difficult at such a low wage at first, but then after that, and then if you get kept on and you get an actual position, then it goes up dramatically, and it's a fair wage, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note as well, like modern apprenticeships, like it is entry level, like you're getting your qualification while you're doing it. So I think Yeah, it might not be starting on amazing pay.
As well.
Yeah.
So it is fair at the time, but then yeah, it's once you get your full-time position, then it is fair.
Yeah, definitely. And this is an interesting question we've got. So, has working in a life sciences department increased your knowledge or interest of science?
Yeah, it has. At school, I always enjoyed biology and a few of the science classes, but obviously I could never see myself going down that route. I wasn't as smart as other as people that were going to go into the science route, but I did enjoy it. So getting to do this job is great because it's like the best of both worlds. I get to dip in and see what it's like going on with science stuff as well, and I get to help out with that, which is really good. So like getting to hear more about like cystic fibrosis and stuff. I've done a project on that, and just hearing about even though I don't really understand most of it, but it's interesting to see what work the scientists are doing.
Yeah, it's really good. I think just to get a wee insight, isn't it, just to see how other people's jobs work, I suppose. And this is a really good question. What advice would you give yourself when you were at school?
So probably just to have a bit more belief and confidence in myself, because I thought, oh, like I could never see myself doing a job like this, but why not? And it's just if you believe in yourself and think, no, I can do it. Like you can end up achieving something if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think it's probably a thing a lot of young people should be believing in themselves a lot more, but it's hard at the time. That's a really good question as well. What is your favourite project you've ever worked on?
So my favourite project, I've not really got a favourite one, but I do enjoy the Doors Open Day project, which they do it every year. So Doors Open Day is when the university invites the public in to the buildings to see what's going on, what research is happening. So I get a lot of control over the advertising, so like the social media campaign, the design, like the posters and stuff, and like deciding the concept. And then also on the actual day of the event, I get to go around and do the photography. So basically the start to finish, I'm heavily involved in it. So I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, and again, really good. The questions are great today. So someone's asked, will there be lots of jobs for young people in the future in this industry?
I think this industry is one that I don't think they'll ever lose a need for, because technology is evolving and there's always, I think everything's moving more digital. So I think, yeah, there's always going to be a need for like graphic designers and video editors and illustrators and stuff. So I'm not sure how many jobs or how big the industry will be, but I do know there's always a need. So,
Yeah, definitely, and that's good to know. And again, nice follow-on question here is, what could I do as a young person at school to get involved in this industry?
I think do what you enjoy. So practice stuff if you like animation or anything or illustration. Practice, make yourself a little portfolio, keep adding to it. Even if you wanted to do like a placement somewhere that somewhere that you quite like their work, just send them an email. They might offer you to come in for the day, see what's going on, give you a work placement for a week, and it'll give you a good idea if you maybe like that job, and then that's good experience on your CV as well, and it'll be a good stepping stone if you ever wanted to then apply for a position.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And so someone's asking, they says, you did a modern apprenticeship and got a job from there. Would you consider doing a graduate apprenticeship if there was one?
So if there was one, if there was a job that I wanted to do that needed that, definitely, because it's worth your while. But currently, I don't think I would need to do that. But never say never.
That's it. And for anyone who's not aware of what a graduate apprenticeship is, so it's very similar to a modern apprenticeship, but it works up to degree level. But as Connor says, at the moment, it's not something you're needing. And this is a good one. What other roles are there within your area of work?
So other roles, well, because I do a little bit of everything, I could probably, if I really enjoyed one specific thing, like photography or maybe moving into motion graphics or something, I could maybe hone in on that skill and push myself in that. But currently I do like doing a bit of everything because it makes my job a bit more exciting. But there's plenty of roles within the university. So it's just if you were interested in that thing, then seek it out.
Yeah, that's really good. And I like this question. Did you buy anything cool with your first wage?
Anything cool? Probably, I'm not sure, to be honest. As you get more money, then you end up paying for more things, so you've got more bills.
That's true.
So even though, so you can obviously get a better phone contract if you wanted to get a better car and stuff. I actually did get a new car when I first started, actually, so that was probably the best thing.
Yeah, that's a good investment, as a new car. Okay, and someone's asked, can I start getting experience as a volunteer with the University of Edinburgh?
I'm not sure what volunteer opportunities there are, but I think you could look on the website or whatever section you're interested in, and there might be certain opportunities. It's just investigating and seeing what's available to you.
Yeah, and I think that's the same with most organisations. There may be opportunities, but it's always worth just having a look or even just dropping someone an email. And so someone's asked, what are your typical working hours? Do you enjoy this, and what are the benefits?
Yeah, so my work's quite flexible, so even more so with COVID. So if you had like a doctor's appointment at the dentist or something, it's really laid back, so you can just step out for a couple hours, and then if you want to make some time up later on that day, or sometimes start at 8 and then would finish at 4 if I'm in the office, or if I wanted to come in later, then I could even like go home earlier and make up the time at home. So it's really laid back, so I quite like that.
Yeah, that's really good. And someone says, what advice would you give someone who isn't sure what they want to do?
So if you're not sure, I would say whatever it is you enjoy, I would maybe focus on that. So if you can find something that incorporates what you enjoy, then you're not going to ever go into a job that you hate as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you can do a job that you enjoy, then I'd say that's your best bet.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And again, someone's asking about events. What kind of events have you worked at?
So like internal events, so if there's like a research talk or something, I'd maybe take photographs of when the speakers are on, or there was a science event that invited people in to do art, and it was like how art and science can mix. It was quite strange but quite interesting.
Yeah.
So I got to go around and photograph everybody doing like their different art and stuff, so that was really interesting. Different events, there's quite a few, and like there's Science Insights, and they have like, that's a good step in if you wanted to do science, because it's it's an opportunity for people in 5th year, and they can it's in the summer holidays, and they can like get a insight on science and stuff. So I've photographed that as well, mostly photographing events.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And someone's asked, what career accomplishment makes you the most proud?
So career accomplishment. So probably getting my HND, which is really good, because none of my family had ever done higher education.
Right.
And then even just this role and how I've everything I've done up to now, and just all the accomplishments I've done, and like obviously completing the modern apprenticeship, and yeah, just succeeding in what I do is just quite a good accomplishment, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it sounds as if you've kind of found yourself in a role that you really enjoy, which I think is an accomplishment in itself. And someone says, what is the best thing about working in this industry?
So the best thing is getting to do something that you enjoy and experiment with new softwares and try and every day is different, and you get a good input into what you're doing. So getting to decide what things look like, and you're basically like shaping the world around you, because you're engaging with like the public and with advertising and stuff. And yeah, it's just getting a big input on like your design and stuff. That's what I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's really good. And someone's asked, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years' time?
So 5 years' time, I never really think that far ahead, to be honest. But probably still upping my skills and learning new softwares and just taking opportunities and saying yes to stuff. And I don't know, I could be doing something completely different in 5 years, who knows? But just allowing yourself to take every opportunity and see what road you end up going down.
That's really good. And someone says, what is the office culture, social side of the company like?
So I work with a small team, and we get on really well, and I think the laid back, the working hours and stuff is really good. So I enjoy the small team I work with, and yeah, like there's the Christmas party every year and stuff, and there's not been as many things on with COVID, but obviously hopefully that will start up again soon.
Yeah, that's really good. And do you help a lot of people in your job?
Well, yeah, I assist in if the researchers want like an illustration to show their work, then I can help with that. So then it shows if they want to show the public what they do, or other scientists, and then I have to understand what is they're telling me, and then I've got to try and show it in an image. So it's quite interesting for me to learn. Yeah, so I'm helping the scientists, which is quite good.
Yeah, it's really good. And what kind of development opportunities does the University of Edinburgh provide? So I know you've said you can do like internal training and things like that.
Yeah, there's any training that you need for your job. There's always opportunities to learn new skills and stuff. So with the modern apprenticeship, there was funding for me to learn skills, obviously, for the job. So I got to go on a photography course. I got to go on Adobe software courses. I got to go through Glasgow for the day, and that was like an external course. Yeah, so and there's been loads of different photography courses as well in the town that I get to go to. So just anything that you think will benefit you, if you ask, you can always ask, and then if there's the funding, then yeah, it's worth your while.
Yeah, that's really great. And someone says, tell us your favourite part of your role.
So the favourite part, I think, just having the opportunity to work on so many different projects and getting to input my style and design process. And I quite like when I get a logo job, and if they're whatever they're needing, then I get to research and go, right, how can I show this research in like a simple wee image or wee symbol that can show what they do. And it's quite good to then show them back, to show, oh, look what this can look like and stuff. So I quite like the logo work.
Yeah, that's really cool. And this is a really good question. What is the best way to build a good portfolio for college?
So when I was at school, I just all the modules are done in art and design and all the different subjects. I would always keep copies. I think everything's more digital now, but when I was at college, when I was at school, it was all printed and I had a wee booklet. But I think more so now, it's more digital, so you can have a digital portfolio. So there's things like Behance, even if you want to do it on Instagram. Also with Adobe, you can make a website portfolio, which is quite good. So, and then also, if you think you can redo a project and make it better, then do it. Because in a few months' time, you might have a better idea and redo it. And if you can make things the best it can be, it'll obviously help you out.
Yeah, that's really good. And again, this falls on, I would say, quite nicely to the next question. So what skill do you think you have improved most while working at the University of Edinburgh?
Probably communication skills, because you've got to be able to explain your reasoning behind things. You've got to be confident enough to obviously put your ideas across and stuff. So I think, and then obviously all the other skills as well develop as you go along. So everything develops really.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think it's one of those things you learn so much actually on the job, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And someone says, what did you enjoy about doing your apprenticeship and what did you find the most challenging?
So the good thing about the apprenticeship is when you start the job, you've not got as much pressure on you to do things perfect, because obviously you're in training and you're learning. So my manager was really good to put me at ease, and I wasn't stressed out about stuff. And he'll always be really good at explaining everything and showing me how things are done, and then allowed me to practice as well. He would give me actual like real projects and see how I handled it, and yeah, and then some of the projects he'd let me do, and it would, like, I'd done a logo and it ended up going live and stuff. So that's good. Probably, I'm trying to think what the bad things or not so good things are. Can't really think of any, to be honest, because it was a really good experience for me.
Well, that's always good if you can't think of a bad thing. You can't complain about that. So I think this is a really good one. Do you enjoy working independently?
Yeah, I do actually. I think just because you learn to trust your instincts and what you think will work best and stuff, and you do want approval sometimes, but as you work, you start to trust yourself more. So I do like to we always have weekly meetings and stuff and catch up with the rest of the team, and it's good to then show your ideas and get feedback. But I do like working independently as well, yeah.
Yeah, bit of both I think is always quite nice, isn't it? So someone says, what programs are best for learning how to create animations?
Animations, I would say Adobe After Effects. So that's how I would start an animation. And if I was looking, I would sometimes look on YouTube if there's any tutorials and stuff. Lynda.com is quite good. I think that's maybe turned into, I think that's maybe changed names now actually, but Adobe's quite good as well. If you Google different, if you want to do something, then just Google how to do it and there'll come up a tutorial with it on YouTube or anything, and that's what I mostly use.
Yeah, I think YouTube has taught people plenty of things. Okay, and someone says, do you have to travel around to do your job?
For training opportunities and stuff, I've travelled around. Also, before COVID, there was like web publishers meetings, so that would be monthly, and I'd get to go out into the town, and there's always a meeting there. Or it's not so much now, but I think after hopefully things go back to normal, there'll be more travelling. But I think now people have seen how easy it is to just have a meeting on Zoom and stuff. So yeah, I don't know how much travelling I'll go back to, but there's always going to be events on. So if I'm needed to do photography, then I'll take the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is a really helpful question for some people. So they says, what is the recruitment process like for getting into an apprenticeship, well, a modern apprenticeship?
So for me, it was quite simple. So it was, I think it was one of my friend's mum. She works in recruitment and she seen the opportunity, so sent it over to me. So I done a quick application, and then I was invited for an interview, and that was it. Luckily, that was the interview. I must have done good, so I got the job. Yeah, and it was quite simple for me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's really good. And what makes someone a good fit for this industry?
So I think if you love like creative subjects and stuff, I think you'd be a good fit. And just if you enjoy the subjects and you enjoy the creative process, I think you'll fit in well.
Yeah, definitely. And this is going to be our last question today. So someone says, what are the benefits of doing an apprenticeship in this sector?
So the benefits, obviously you get a qualification at the end of it. You work and train on the job, so you're not just thrown in at the deep end. It's really easy. You only do what you can do, and as you get through it, you get more confidence. So by the end of it, you're confident to do what you do. You've got the qualification, and if you wanted to leave and go somewhere else, you've got the training. But then if you wanted to stay, then people know you, and you've got a better chance of getting a job where you are.
That's brilliant. So thank you very much, Connor. This has been fantastic. It's been really good to get some insight into your role. So unfortunately, that is us out of time. So thank you everyone for joining on, and thank you, Connor, for giving us such a nice insight into your role and the different routes that people can take. So these are just some of the job profiles linked up to what Connor does. So we've got roles like graphic designer, app designer, ethical hacker, so they all work within technology. This is our website, My World of Work, and you can go on there, you can look up different job profiles, you can do some quizzes. We've also got apprenticeships.scot, so Connor talked a little bit about the apprenticeship route today. If that's something you're interested in, this is our website here. And we'll get digitalworld.net, which will take you through some of the information on working in technology. So thank you again very much, Connor, and thank you to everyone for joining at home. So thank you very much and have a good day.